Need something forged? Anything breaks, the forge is hot.
Neither of these two guys know what hit them.
Why are you calling him a fascist then, Luke? If you're not prepared to defend it.
Luke Beasley has no idea what fascism actually means.
You call him that, Luke. Why do you call him that unless you can defend it?
He's called in the media a fascist over and over and over again for 10 years.
And he calls him that.
And the vast majority of people who throw this word around do not know what it actually means.
Anti-democratic. I just don't care about
you defend that he's a fascist or not, Luke.
I absolutely have had that discussion a bunch of
That's not what I asked you. Can you repeat my question?
He's going to try and avoid it. Look, let's not get bogged down in definitions.
We can debate that particular label. I've noticed when I watch past debates among MAGA folks, the benefit, or at least what they seem to thrive off of, is getting real into the weeds on a particular semantic debate. That's less relevant to me than going through the specifics of why I might call him that.
In order to analyze whether what he did falls under fascism, we have to know what fascism means.
So when you go, Trump's a fascist, yeah, it's very important that you clarify exactly what that means, why it means that, what the historic standard is that you're providing against
I'm
that.
saying that debate is an interesting one. I've had it a bunch of times.
Okay, if you've debated it a number of times, surely you understand what the word means.
You can't defend what he does, so then you try to distract from that with just really abstract
Your lies.
discussions.
Andrew points out, definitions are important, especially if you are going to weaponize the term.
Hang on, Luke. Semantics are super important to a debate for a reason. It's so that we have clarity in what we're actually talking about.
It's going to do what most people do and claim fascism is just rejecting democracy.
Yeah, one of the key tenets is rejecting democratic principles and the democratic process.
According to who?
According to every single fascism scholar ever and the definition.
This is what stupid people sound like when they don't have a response. Well, just every scholar ever, every definition ever has said this.
I'm asking, according to who?
Yeah, sure, read it.
Yeah, go ahead.
So they pull up a Wikipedia article.
Far right, authoritative. No. Pull up Giovanni Gentile.
Andrew Wilson is not pointing this out to defend fascism. He's pointing this out to expose that Luke Beasley has no idea what he's talking about. He's actually going to the source, Giovanni Gentile, which actually disproves exactly what Luke is saying here.
The fascist state, on the other hand, is a popular state, and in that sense, a democratic state par excellence. Alrighty, here are the passports. Ooh, and my new swimsuit arrived.
And this guy does a really good breakdown, if you want to check it out, tracing it all the way back to the ancient Greeks, the evolution of the philosophy.
Its philosophy, actual idealism, developed by Giovanni Gentile, said that man is a spiritual, communal being who shapes reality in his mind.
There are other things to disagree with in this original definition, and most people do not know this.
Gentile, I thought was Gentile. When did you cite him?
Wait, I'm sorry. Is reading a Wikipedia article proof of your position?
The word fascism itself means trade unionism, syndicalism. Fascism is defined as totalitarian, cooperative, and ethical state. The final collectivist synthesis of nationalism, syndicalism, and actualism.
I'm opposed to collectivism myself. That's where I diverge with the fasci, this bundle of sticks that cannot be broken together.
According to Marx, the individual as such is not real. Only the social individual is real.
What the Nazis did was different than the original philosophy of fascism.
When you say Trump's a fascist, I think that's hyperbole. Would you? Because I don't think you actually think he's a fascist. I think that you just think fascism means authoritarianism. You don't even know what the fuck it is. You don't care about it.
People throw around this definition of fascism when really they're talking about Nazis.
I think you're actually using hyperbole when you're talking about fascism in general. So when Trump uses it, when Trump uses hyperbole, when Trump is speaking this way, Trump bad. When you're speaking this way, that's fine.
He's trying to point out the hypocrisy because they are engaging in the same thing. They are using hyperbole when they throw around the term fascism. Hyperbole would be tweeting something about Jimmy Kimmel and how you think he has no talent, you should fire him, he sucks, versus I'm going to use the office of the president to force Jimmy Kimmel off the airwaves, which we can logically prove he did not do. How? Because Jimmy Kimmel is still on the airwaves.
Is it good or bad to threaten the media based on my principles, which value to
Maybe threats of media.
So Trump has repeatedly called for investigations into reporters, into media outlets. He believes that the business licenses of ABC and CBS, MSNBC, he says, should be pulled. I mean, you don't see these sorts of threats from the Democratic Party.
Really? We don't? What about Facebook? Mark Zuckerberg, who came out and confirmed all this. What about censorship around COVID? And Andrew's going to point all of these things out. When it comes to crypto, there's a lot of potential, but do your research. I've seen the best results from just dollar cost averaging, not trying to make big moves, rather than trying to time your buys, do a recurring buy at a low amount that's affordable. Don't over leverage, be responsible, do your own research. I still think there's a lot of potential, and that's where crypto.com comes in. Trump Media just signed a massive $6.4 billion deal with Yorkville Acquisition Corp and crypto.com, which is a crypto platform trusted by millions of users worldwide, teaming up to acquire up to $6.4 billion in CRO to establish America's first CRO treasury. Trump Media Group CRO strategy. Once complete, this new company will be the largest publicly traded CRO holder out there. Head to crypto.com today and be a part of this move. That's crypto.com. We still have a lot of potential upside, I think, in my opinion, but do your own research. Don't over leverage yourself. Like in all things, you need to be responsible.
Has Trump actually done that?
Are threats not bad?
No, first of all, hyperbole isn't a threat. That's one.
The Trump administration reached out to Twitter to ask them to remove a tweet by Chrissy Teigen, John Legend's wife, because she called him a pussy-ass bitch.
And I don't even know if this is true, but let's just assume that it is true. Okay, fine. Yes, that's kind of a silly thing to do, but is that the government forcing them?
Yeah, sure. So let's say someone in the Trump administration or even Trump himself is like, hey, can you take this tweet down? I don't like it. It hurts my feelings, right? Fine. You can condemn it. You can say it's an abuse of power or something like this. Seems like a kind of fake abuse of power. But there's a distinction when Facebook is being contacted by the Biden administration to tell them to censor all anti-COVID vaccination information, period.
What Andrew's describing actually has ramifications. The stakes are higher. It's actually trolling a narrative.
Again, though, when you're talking about narrative building from the Justice Department contacting Facebook itself, trying to construct a narrative, how much more fascistic can you get, authoritarianism can you get, then there's a counter narrative out here about COVID. There's a counter narrative here about some of the therapeutics. And by the way, Zuckerberg has since said some of the things that they were saying on the counter side were true. And they were asking us to take these things down. And we complied.
This guy has no option but to concede this. He says, yeah, okay, yeah, if that's true, I would agree with you, but we don't have any evidence of that, Andrew. Well, what about Mark Zuckerberg confirming it?
This is now narrative building. This is, I want you, this giant, enormous media outlet, to build the narrative that my administration wants. And I'm going to use the coercive power of my office to do it. There's a distinction, I think, between that and I don't like this tweet, take it down.
So, again, if that's exactly what happened, I'd probably be inclined to agree, but there's no evidence of that. That number one, it was
Jeff Zuckerberg saying it.
Suddenly now, there is a difference between hyperbole and action.
It depends very much on the nature of the engagement between the government and Facebook. Again, if they threaten Facebook, if you don't take this down, there will be consequences or something like that besides just requests or even strong requests.
Now, there's a difference between strong requests and actual action from the government. He's actually exposing his own hypocrisy.
As opposed to the President of the United States, the most powerful man in the world, pressuring a social media company because a celebrity insulted him. Yeah, that is indefensible.
Okay, so it's indefensible if he pressures a celebrity. Okay, by that logic, would it be indefensible if a president suppressed a counter-narrative to COVID? Which one has higher stakes?
Does he command a cult of personality? These are factual questions.
Does he threaten? This is not. I'm not going to make a whataboutism. I'm going to say, okay, let's start from that presumption that would make Trump a fascist. That would also make Obama or Biden or Kamala much the same, which we can discuss, which is false.
Throughout this entire exchange, Andrew has just knocked down every example they've tried to provide to justify the use of this term, fascism.
You can't sit on your shows and say, this guy's a fascist, he's an authoritarian, he's a dictator, he's a threat to democracy, and then give us nothing.
Neither of these guys know any of this. They cannot begin to even describe spiritual idealism. With this philosophy of the human mind, the connection to reality. Does reality exist as a result of how we perceive it? It's into a larger conversation that I guarantee you neither of these two guys want to have.
For those new to drones, an easy to control yet powerful device is crucial, and the AirView drone.
This financial advisor sits down with a client who believes that Trump is to blame for why her haircutting business is failing.
So I am actually kind of in debt because of the past election.
He tries to articulate to her, this is not Trump's fault, you're just stupid.
So most of my clients are affected by how the economy works.
Technically, everyone's affected by the economy. And she's going to make the case her clients aren't having their hair cut because Trump has driven up the cost of groceries. Watch what he does with this client.
Including
That's everything in the service-based economy.
including my boyfriend's work. He's in construction.
Oh, you have a boyfriend?
I do.
Okay.
And his income has been affected drastically. And
What was he in construction?
What do you mean?
Where is he building things?
Like,
What kind of construction does he do?
he mostly does flooring, but
What's
he's
his job?
done whole home remodels. He does some handyman work here and there. But a lot of that work has slowed down as well.
How would Trump being elected affect handyman repairs?
That's interesting because if I'm not mistaken, especially when home prices were soaring as materials were a little more expensive, people also stopped renovating as quickly, and that was in the high inflation time.
And that would have been when Biden was in office. He's talking about 3 years ago.
Wouldn't that have impacted his job as well about 3-4 years ago?
So
And then got a little better for a while, and you know,
for a little while, yes. And we were kind of doing okay at that point. Now we do live separately. We handle our finances all separately.
you've broken out.
No, we just live separately.
So now we're getting into the real problem, bad decisions.
We have
You say now.
Yes,
You were together.
we are together
No, you lived together.
for a short time.
It's usually indicative of a great relationship. Moving out.
We did not agree on how some of the debt situations were being handled, and to keep.
Also indicative of an incredible relationship.
Notice how she uses the term we good. She's not married. They don't even live together, but they're making financial decisions as a joint couple.
We've got kids at home, and they're kind of the priority.
Now, okay, when you say we, see, I don't know. Are we talking we as in you?
Me, yes, sorry. I have kids at home, and they are my priority. Choose to make a little bit less.
So it's just you.
It is just me.
Well, how much of an impact do you think that decision is having?
Okay, good. How many? Well, not good, but whatever. It is what it is. We're dealing with it. How old are they? How many kids?
2.
So last election.
Yes.
I'm a little confused on exactly what you mean by that. Now, I know job numbers, jobless numbers, unemployment. Overall, I've covered this in the live streams on the Caleb Hammer Live YouTube channel ever since like the height of the best employee market in the history of basically humanity about 4 years ago. You know, jobs gained on a monthly basis has been a steady decline.
His point here is that it would not matter which way the election went. There would still be that steady decline.
You know, people think the president has a lot more impact than they do. Now, you could yell tariffs, you could yell a lot of things, right? Which I'm sure you will.
No.
No.
I really don't think they can impact as much as people say that they can.
Well, they can. It just takes longer.
Right.
And even the Federal Reserve, Jerome Powell, who is not the biggest fan of Trump, specifically says we will not see the long-term, the effects of tariffs for like a decently while. It takes a long time to filter through the economy.
Yeah.
People get hyper political and excited online, but you know, it's whatever. But we're on the same trajectory and trend that we have been in terms of job numbers added on a monthly basis.
She even concedes this point, which is remarkable. She says, well, it wouldn't matter if Kamala Harris was elected. I would still be blaming her. So it doesn't matter who's in office. She's going to blame someone else other than herself.
Right.
Like, if we would be almost in a very similar economic thing we're in right now if Kamala was president as well, would you be saying the exact same thing? That because of the last election, you have lost money?
Probably.
So you blame everyone but yourselves?
No.
She blamed it on specifically the election. But if it doesn't matter who is voted in, why is it the fault of the election?
You can blame economic conditions. I bet people do less home renovations when things aren't as juicy. It's people borrow for home renovations. Interest rates are still high, even though they've come down a little. Even still, people are less likely to invest in renovating a house when interest rates are high.
So what is her strategy? I'm going to move out of the country. We're hearing this a lot. This topic actually ties into the sponsor of today's video, Tax Network USA. Getting better at this. If you owe back taxes, or if you forgot to file for an extension, the October 15th deadline is coming up. And if you haven't gathered, your documents are made, any of those payments, the IRS could come after you. They could seize property, even garnish wages, freeze bank accounts. There is help with Tax Network USA, a nationwide tax firm that has saved people over $1 billion in tax debt. They filed hundreds of thousands of tax returns and assisted thousands in reducing their tax burden, and they can help you too. Don't wait. Visit tnusa.com/Warren or call 1-800-958-1000 for a 100% free consultation. In one short call, the experts at Tax Network USA will guide you through some simple questions to determine how much you can save. Take action now before it's too late. Visit tnusa.com/Warren or call 1-800-958-1000. The larger pattern here is that it is easier to blame something else. The grass is always greener. So all I need to do is relocate.
I've looked at potentially moving out of the country, and it's just never feasible.
What does that make sense for? In what way?
It's got to be better somewhere else.
So you're living in arguably the best country in the world, and because you're not making good decisions, you revert to, well, surely it's just better everywhere else than here. Anywhere else than here.
It has to be better anywhere else.
Anywhere else?
Anywhere else.
So you'll be moving to sub-Saharan Africa?
I'm like, what did he say fuck me for?
No, probably not. It's
You
too hot.
said anywhere.
It's too hot. Not the violence of South Africa. No, it's the weather.
Probably not. It's
You
too hot.
said anywhere.
Almost
Else.
anywhere.
Oh, okay. Pushing the goalpost a little bit.
Just a smidge.
Okay, where's it better for you, salon owner, business owner?
Salon owner, business owner? I don't know.
Most people will say, well, no, not Africa. I'd rather go to Europe. So he anticipates that and dives into Poland.
I
I'll
haven't
tell
actually
you an
looked
economy
that
that's
far
doing
into
pretty
it.
well in Europe. I'm sure you really like Europe. Poland's increasing. Poland's doing very well.
Yes, there's going to be things that are great in Norway, Sweden. There's a cost to all of that. And they're also drastically different countries, different populations, different histories, different dynamics. One prescription that works there would not necessarily work here.
But you know what happened if you employed other people in the salon? You know what happens? If you want to fire them, oftentimes depending on what contracts you're on, if you want to fire them, you still have to actually keep them on for about a month, 2 months, depending on time.
Say, well, I'd like to go to Italy. Well, Italy has a broken economy. The grass is not always greener, and people don't take the time to look into these things.
We can blame economic conditions for certain things, but you went to blaming the election.
This is indicating such foolish thinking. This is the problem here, not the election.
Yeah, a lot of
That's
things.
a lot. That is just someone who does not take any kind of accountability, or at least any kind of objective intake of information about the economy.
Yeah, kind of.
If you want to go straight politics about it.
It's lack of objectivity and critical thinking. It's easier to find excuses. It makes you feel better.
There are certain things. If he made it illegal to renovate houses, yes, we could blame that.
I think a bigger part of it is that a lot of places are worried about things going into a recession.
Yes, that would happen if it was the other administration too.
Yes, and so a lot of stuff comes to a complete halt. It doesn't even just slow down. Like 80% of the work disappeared.
So I'm assuming she's talking about interest rates here. Most people do not even understand how inflation works. It's a contributing factor. Those interest rates aren't necessarily tied directly to an election.
Exactly.
And
that's not the last election, though. That is interest rates being high. That's the purpose of interest rates being high. To cool the economy, bring down inflation. And when you cool the economy, you bring it down. And you usually when interest rates are this high compared to, the average of interest rates in the past decade or so, when they're this high, statistically, a recession follows. So no.
The question is how much of that is actually tied to the president? Because she's blaming the election.
It's about when it all
started. I'm not jerking off the president. I don't give a fuck about that. But when you're going and you're blaming something on something like that instead of actual, objective information.
It's the thing that makes
puts
all of it together.
It's a cope.
Because so many people stopped. So many of the businesses that he was doing work with and contracting with completely
but maybe they
shut
picked other
down.
businesses as well. So you said you're not doing well.
No.
That's the last election?
Yes, it's gotten much worse the last election. People do still have hair, but the grocery prices, at least where I'm at, have gone up drastically, and they are having to now choose going to the grocery store, getting their hair done on a regular basis.
It depends on the food items specifically.
Because if a few food items increase drastically, that's going to affect the overall average of total costs altogether.
You know the food item that went up the highest in cost this year so far?
I don't.
Coffee.
His point is that it's more complicated. You need to be objective.
A lot of people thought tariffs. I thought tariffs.
Eh.
Then I actually looked into things instead of just blaming the last election. Bad season in Brazil where we get a lot of our beans.
Was it really?
Yes. Lots of drought issues.
That makes sense.
Dramatically affects the supply, dramatically affects the price. When you're actually interested in learning instead of immediately going into politics of good guy, bad guy, my team, your team, you actually get to learn things.
Because we live in the greatest country, the greatest economy in the world. The reality is, you can't blame this on the election. The most common pattern you will encounter is this. People making bad decisions, but it's easier to blame Trump, the government, the last election. It's a pattern we're seeing recur over and over again.
This is reality. This is reality, because here's the thing. I mean, 2,849 is what you need to survive at 75 cents. It's like, what the f- doing? I don't give a f- about what you want.
I know.
I'm sorry. You're a single mother. Sometimes single mothers see their kids a little less because they go work in order to take care of their kids. If you weren't dating this guy, you wouldn't have a place to live. It's just not a thing. You're in their future. You need to go get a real job yesterday. No, yes, you. There's the face. Never mind. I'm done.
Alloy sink wrench for tight spaces. A set of 2, 7 notches. Fits various hose screws.
This is by far one of the most fascinating interactions Peter Boghossian has captured on camera.
Americans specifically are racist because your little America is racist. Yeah. Better question is Americans are racist.
He comes up against one of the most brainwashed students I have ever seen, who claims that America is uniquely systemically racist.
So you said the word systemic before. What is that the word you use, or is it system? System. What does that word mean?
Now, this is going to be the big question. Can he explain what a system even is? This is where it gets comical.
I mean, it's the violence inherent within the system, to quote Monty Python.
So when someone makes this claim, the smart question is, well, can you give an example?
Give me an example of a law currently on the books that's racist.
It doesn't have to do with laws. It has to do with entrenched social movements.
What's an entrenched social movement? Well, we don't know, which is convenient because that makes it impossible to provide evidence. But this is what Peter does well. He does not stop.
Give me an example of a system that's racist that in the United States? Yeah, in America.
A system that's racist.
The best he can do is bring up, well, I have this gender studies class, and this ties in, I think. And
I've particularly been studying gender relations at the moment.
But let's try to. I'm happy to do that claim next week.
I know, but it's the same sort of dichotomy. It's the same sort of power relation.
And this is what shows it as an ideology. He's able to use what he learned in his gender studies class to explain systemic racism somehow.
In terms of gender as opposed to racism.
Is it okay if we do racist? Because that's only the claim now. We'll talk about gender if you want to write another one on the board. But give me an example of a system of racism that we currently have in the country.
A current system of racism.
Yes, if you're going to claim that America is systemically racist, you should be able to give us an example of a racist system.
Yeah, we'll forget laws. Just give me a system.
It's more just how people act with each other. So, literally what she's described earlier, this sort of circumstance in which somebody...
Her friends.
Yeah.
How is that a system?
Because we're in a system. Humans are systemic. So people cause systems, and systems cause people.
People cause systems, and systems cause people. Okay, so the natural question would be, but what is a system? Still,
culture, or the way we act, sort of determines what the system is, or what laws are, which you seem to be hung up on.
I threw the laws out the window. I'm just trying to figure out what the definition of a system is.
You also can't throw it out. It's just a matter of...
Okay, we'll bracket it. But I'm trying to figure out when someone says a systemic thing. She did not say that. You said that. I'm trying to figure out what you mean by that, because I am not clear.
Well, I mean, she brought up, for example, the police. Yeah. It's not that they have laws that direct them to be racist. It's that internally, somehow, people are racist, which determines behavior in any given circumstance. If a police stops a white person, they're less likely to arrest them than with a black person.
If a crime has been committed, you're claiming they're less likely to arrest them for that crime if they're white. Where are you getting that from?
You might call it even individual, but everybody does it.
If everybody does it, how is it systemic?
Is that what you mean by the system being racist? It's populated by people who hold racist. Is that what I'm trying to figure out what the word means?
Okay, so it's populated by people who are racist, yes.
Okay.
But also they're not exceptional. Like, they're not members of the KKK, they're just people.
Okay.
And people are generally, Americans specifically, are racist. Because your little America is racist... Yeah. Better question is, Americans are racist.
What makes Americans uniquely racist versus all other people in the world?
I'm trying to, and I don't mean to linger on this necessarily, but I think it's so important to understand what you mean when you say it's a system.
Okay. All right. It's a system.
And you still can't tell us what a system is.
Does that mean that the system is acting against black people, or individuals within the system? Because that's an extremely crucial distinction.
Okay, so individuals within the system that are not exceptional. So they constitute the system. So, it's not members of the KKK that are joining the police because they're racist or whatever.
They constitute the personnel who are members of the system, but they are not the system.
They are.
Peter, bless him, is still trying to figure out what a system is. This is the best you can do. Continue to ask.
People make up the system. So people make the system. Laws. Literally any...
So when he finally realizes he's not going to get a response, he asks him, what would it take to change your mind?
What would it take for you to move from strongly agree to agree?
I don't think I would.
And he just flat out says, nothing would change my mind.
So what evidence would you have to hear? What reason would you have to hear? What argument would you have to see to persuade you?
I see no point in being an agree or slightly agree.
He sees no point in a middle ground.
I'm either going to be in strongly agree or strongly disagree.
If you're taking the position you strongly agree, then surely you must have some evidence.
But I just don't understand. So what evidence would it take you to move to strongly disagree? What would you have to be shown?
That America is not racist.
Okay, what would that look like? What data set would that look like?
I have no idea. Because I don't agree with it.
And that pretty much sums up the entire thing right there. I don't even know what evidence would look like because my mind has been made up.
How would I know? Or else I would be over there.
Well, wouldn't you have to know the conditions under which your belief could be false to justify your confidence in the belief?
Could be false.
Or maybe it's just that it's not as racist as you thought. What evidence would you have to think that it's not as racist as you thought to move you to the agree line?
I don't know, that a lot of people don't experience racism on the day-to-day.
Okay, so what is a lot?
A lot of people, or the majority of people, or some people? A lot meaning 25?
Well, more people than I've heard. I don't know. I guess if it's a gradient, which I'm still not convinced it is, it's just is or is not.
And that sums the whole thing up. There is no gradient. He will not even entertain the idea of nuance. It either is or it is not.
It's just is or is not. To me, really, because of its systemic nature.
Systemic, there we go. No systemic. Yeah.
I love how camping's full of surprises. Except when the surprise is an allergy attack. Luckily, I've got Claritin D. Get fast, powerful relief from your worst symptoms, like nasal congestion. It starts working in as little as 30 minutes.
I haven't seen the whole thing yet. I've seen portions. People are asking me to take a look at it, so let's get in.
You don't know what you're talking about, y'all? You don't. Because I asked you a question, you've ignored it. What is the underlying crime?
He was convicted in a court of law, Tim.
What? Oh my God. What is the underlying crime?
What is the underlying crime?
Okay, let's stop.
And this is the pattern. I'm just going to say the most surface level statement, and I'm just going to make that statement over and over again without knowing anything else.
To everybody who's listening, I think my point is, I can tell you the facts of these cases and why I have doubts, and you don't know anything about them.
So here's a fact. Donald Trump is a 34-count felon.
They intentionally word it that way, as though Trump was convicted of 34 felonies, but it's felony counts. When you actually look at the 34 felony counts, it's truly shocking. Invoice from Michael Cohen, entry in the detail, another entry, another check stub. But this one has a different bearing number, so that's going to be a whole new count. Okay, entry, check, invoice, entry, check, invoice, and it says guilty next to each one. People are acting as though that means he was guilty of 34 felonies. It was one action.
What was the underlying crime?
The problem I have...
Answer the fucking question.
What was the underlying...
Yes.
34 counts.
Of what?
Okay, falsifying business records was...
Underlying crime, name it. I don't have it right in front. There isn't one.
Okay.
The crime was he gave money to a woman and tried not to make that public. That's what he's accused of.
But okay, so you're saying that the judge got it wrong, the jury got it wrong, he had the right to defend
himself. For the love of all that is
courtroom.
holy, this is the problem with this country.
They all got it wrong.
What was he charged with? Just give me the sentence. Give me the single phrase.
What I know is that he was a 34-count felon convicted.
Oh my God!
That's what I know.
What was he charged with?
I don't have the case right in front.
You don't know.
I don't have the case right in front.
You are in a cult.
It's already a stretch to even call him a felon. They say the 34 count portion because it sounds good linguistically.
You can disagree with it. But you can say incorrect till the cows come home. He wasn't sentenced, but he was convicted on 34 felony counts. Now, you can disagree with that. Okay, you can disagree.
Name the crime.
That's fine.
Name the crime.
You don't have to name the crime.
Yes, you do.
34-count felon.
You have to name the crime.
Okay, well, listen.
So, again, I will say it to the audience. He doesn't even know what the charge was. He doesn't know who was accused of falsifying.
I named you a few. I don't have all 34 charges in front of me.
The 34 are pieces of evidence to back up a claim. And this check has a different number on it, so that's going to give us another count, and then this invoice was on a different date.
But it doesn't, just because I can't name the charges.
It be prudent of you to actually investigate these things before parroting them on it to a large audience?
I'm not parroting them. All I'm simply saying...
You can't even explain what your position is.
Just because... Okay,
what did Trump... Okay, let me try this. Let's slow down. Why do you... What do you think Trump did wrong in that case?
Sleeping with a porn star. Let's assume he did that. That would be the thing that was... You shouldn't do.
You're talking about E. Jean Carroll, or are you talking about...
No, the business records case. What did he do wrong?
Well, falsifying business records was what he was charged with.
No, what specifically did he do wrong?
What specifically?
What do you take...
Falsifying records? Falsifying records?
Which records? I'm asking you the specifics of what did you find that he did wrong?
Here's my point.
You don't have an answer for it?
I'm going to answer it for you.
Are you going to give me a specific example, or are you going to change the subject again?
I'm not changing the subject. We're talking about this.
So what did Trump do wrong? Say, Trump did thing. Tell me.
Okay. Here's the answer that I'm going to give you. I don't know all the ins and outs of this case.
So why are we talking?
And this is the vast majority of people are going to have the same response. They're not even going to know what 34 counts means.
Here's what I do know. Regardless of what your opinions are on the case, and what you might think are valid that he didn't do anything wrong, what you might think are valid that he never sexually abused a woman, here's the bottom line, whether you like it or not. A jury found him guilty on 34 counts that you obviously disagree with. Whether I know the ins and outs of the case is irrelevant.
You don't know anything beyond he was found guilty. That's it. That's all you have.
Yeah. The fact of the matter is that he is a 34-count felon. The fact of the matter is that he's a liable sexual abuser. Liable.
Is there any evidence beyond a woman pointing a finger and saying, yeah, 20 years ago he did this to me? If not, then at the end of the day, the jury is just determining do we believe her or not.
Tell me about the Eugene Carroll case.
Because a jury found him liable for sexual abuse. I don't have to know everything about the case.
I will hear a claim and I will fact check it. Sure. And try and dig through the facts to see if there's merit. You will believe what you're told.
The envelope is passed to the judge. The question, did the jury find Trump guilty of R-wording Eugene Carroll? They said no. Was he guilty of assaulting her? Well, yes. Okay, but according to her story, he R-worded her. If that's the only evidence to go on, why did they accept this portion of the story but not this portion?
He's not yet a felon until he's sentenced.
He wasn't sentenced. I've said that multiple times. A jury convicted him on 34 felony counts.
Of what?
Again, there you go back again, trying to quiz me on what the.
Okay, here's my point. It's the only point. I don't know why you're here.
This is not about defending Trump. This is about getting it right. And there are patterns here that are very strange.
I don't know what you mean.
We're not debating.
Okay, well,
Like a debate's like this. Donald Trump did a backflip, and here's why it was wrong. Well, actually, backflips have been long protected. I'm saying Donald Trump was accused of these specific things. He's saying, I don't know. And I'm like, okay, then we're not having a debate. No, you're just saying I read in the news Trump was convicted, and I say, okay.
This is the motivation for playing the game in this way, because then it gives people the ammunition that you're seeing him use. It gives them this language. Well, all I know is he was found guilty. What was he guilty of? I don't know the details, but he was found guilty. He's a 34-count felon. That sounds really bad. It sounds like he did 34 felonies.
When an individual is convicted of a crime, it is prudent of a society to analyze whether or not this is legitimate use of the judiciary, of our legal system.
So you don't like people that accuse other people of things.
And the point I'm making is, I don't believe law dictates morality. I don't believe just because something is legal, it is correct. And I don't blindly trust when an authority figure says, trust me, this person's bad.
If what happened to Brett Kavanaugh was false, we have seen a pattern of what people are willing to do and how dirty this game can get.
I can't believe he got me this for Valentine's Day.
That moment was a turning point.
So in the issue of Donald Trump in New York, he was not actually legitimately charged under any crime, and it's unprecedented in U.S. history. Trump was charged under 34 counts of misdemeanor falsification of business records with no underlying crime. They then said, okay, I guess, upgrade it to a felony. And he said, well, hold on. This is why it's currently an appeal. Because Trump was never actually charged with the underlying crime required for an aggravated charge. It's never happened before.
I did not know about that portion that it's being appealed for that reason. If that's true, that is remarkable.
You don't know what you're talking about. That's what I'm talking about. It is one of the most controversial cases in U.S. history where for the first time a charge was placed with improving the underlying case. They updated misdemeanors to require underlying crime. Prove the crime was.
Why couldn't his attorneys prove that in a court of law?
They did.
I was talking also about the moralities of the case, and you were asking me about Eugene Carroll. And while I don't want to go into the details of that case,
of course you don't. The details are what matter in that case.
I wasn't there.
But you don't know either.
Okay, but he was. Again, it goes back to what I said.
What was he accused of doing?
He was found liable for sexual.
What does that mean?
Judge characterized it as penetrating her with his fingers. A jury found that he was liable. Now, I wasn't there. You weren't there. Here's what I do.
Year did it take place?
I don't recall. It was many years ago.
I haven't seen the whole thing, but from what I've seen, people are already attacking Tim, the predictable actors, claiming he's just being too oriented in the details. This is nonsense. No, these details actually do matter when you're talking about cases like this.
Let me ask you this question. How was it that Eugene Carroll was able to bring a case 30 years after the fact?
You're asking me how?
It's very important.
Okay, well,
actually a key component.
So by your argument, Bill Cosby's never been there.
I think that's unfair. He's pointing out that that is a significant window of time. There could still be evidence. In Bill Cosby's case, I believe there is actual evidence beyond just one person making a claim.
I asked you a question, and your logic, because it was 30 years ago, it couldn't have happened. Why are you asking?
You're changing the subject again.
Oh, you're asking me 30 years.
I think the issue is you're so ignorant on these issues.
I don't think I'm ignorant at all.
Ignorant people often do not think they are ignorant.
Speaking details because you don't know. I presume you don't know, and that's why you hold this position.
Okay, all I said to you, and you want to quiz me on these cases, but
I don't know what you're talking about.
Tim, is he a liable sexual abuser? Yes or no?
No. Listen, notice these words. You or you, sir, are a liable sexual abuser. See, most people don't even know what liable means. You are a 34-count felon. Most people don't know what 34 counts means.
So he's not a felon. He's not a liable sexual abuser.
Oh, well, actually, let me clarify. If I get 3 guys to come in here with badges on, and they say you're a rapist, are you a rapist?
His point is that the system can be flawed, can be weaponized.
If I'm found liable in a court of law, I could be liable for sexual abuse.
What if the judge brought the case illicit, meaning it wasn't actually able to be brought into a court, but he did anyway?
I know where you're going with this, Herman, and well, you're making the case that's what happened here in the E. Jean Carroll case.
Trying to suss out your moral worldview on when do you determine that an act of the judiciary is not actually legal?
If that's proven. If it can be proven that way.
If the question is, did Trump, in a legitimate setting, face these claims and convictions? The answer is no. And I can break it all down, fact by fact, detail by detail. Specifically with the E. Jean Carroll case, there's numerous factors as to why this is meritless.
Yes, there are certainly holes in her story. Being objective, the main question is still, is there any evidence beyond one individual's word?
E. Jean Carroll's story made literally no sense. She claimed to have been wearing clothes that didn't exist. She claimed to have access to rooms that she did not have access to. And Trump, the most famous man in New York, instead of going into his hotel across the street from Bernard Goodman, went into a crowded building where there was no one for this one period for no reason. None of it made sense, and we can sit here and say, well, that story is certainly strange, but why did she claim to have clothes that didn't come? Why was she claiming to be wearing clothes that didn't even exist at the time? A specific dress that wasn't released until years later. More importantly, she didn't have a key to that room, nor did Trump. And she also said the Bernard Goodman, one of the busiest stores in New York, had no people in it. So we would then say, I find that all to be credible.
I never said that. So why would you think that I said? The only thing that I said, Tim, was that he is a liable sexual abuser.
Do not get a consolidation loan in TC. I'm on Lopez here. I'm getting a consolidation.
Very nice. Until next time.
Father bless. What do you need?
I appreciate that. Goodbye.